Do you dream of fairies and princesses? Then you've come to the right place. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePauli, and today on the show, my dear friend Tiffany returns to once again discuss an official Disney princess in our Princess Pondering segment. Last season on the show, we thought we'd wrapped up our discussions about official Disney princesses, but to our surprise, we found out that Disney has included Moana as an official Disney princess according to princess.disney.com. In this conversation, you'll hear about our favorite Moana moments, her theme park representation, and whether or not we believe she deserves the title of official Disney princess. All of that's coming your way right after this. Have you gotten your free audiobook from Audible yet? After all, Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks ranging from bestsellers to celebrity memoirs, news, business, and self-development. You can download titles and listen offline, anytime, anywhere. Plus, the app is free and can be installed on all smartphones and tablets, and you can listen across devices without losing your spot. For Disney fans, there are tons of Disney titles available, like the full, unabridged story of Moana. Get a free copy today at audibletrial.com/DCTC. You can even find Disney Princess Beginnings, Moana's Big Leap at audibletrial.com/DCTC as well. And if you're looking for a Spanish edition of Moana, guess what? That too is available at audibletrial.com/DCTC. All of that and more is available to you for free right now at audibletrial.com/DCTC.
Take off those tiaras and put on your thinking cap. It's time for Princess Pondering.
Hey Tiffany, welcome back to the show. It's been a while.
It's been so long. I'm so stoked on today.
Yeah, and we're definitely doing something that I wasn't expecting to revisit so quickly, should I say, because, I eventually thought another princess would come around, but I discovered that Moana, according to Disney or princess.disney.com, is an official Disney princess. And when I first found out, I texted you and I said, "Did you know this?" And you were like,
yeah, now this is a conversation I feel like that needs to be had. How did this happen? When did this happen? Where was the coronation?
Yes, there's a lot of those questions. I honestly think it was just the movie came out, she's an official Disney princess, which is not common. As you said, they normally make a much bigger deal out of this, like a coronation or an announcement or something.
This is kind of what happens with all these new Disney movies, Moana, Frozen. They are their own franchises.
Yes.
So, Anna and Elsa are not Disney princesses. They are part of the Frozen franchise. And that was the same thing with Moana. And what I guess happened was the Moana franchise specifically kind of maybe trickled off a little bit. It's been a while. So she's now part of the official princess lineup, I guess, because it's just like, well, we'll throw her in here with the other girls and she's going to do just fine.
Yeah, it was interesting. I asked several people about this and somebody said, oh, well, she is in that scene in Wreck-It Ralph or the sequel, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and with all the princesses. And I thought about that and I was like, no, wait a second. Elsa's part of that. So that doesn't make you an official Disney princess either. But Moana is part of that. I don't know. I was very surprised to find out because, listen, we've done Princess Pondering. This show has done Snow White, Mulan, Jasmine, Pocahontas, Aurora, Cinderella, Tiana, Ariel, Rapunzel, Belle, and even Merida. And at that point, I thought we had covered them all. But no, today we are here to talk about Moana in this Princess Pondering episode. So, let's just jump right into this. I am curious. Let's start with some of our favorite moments from this film. I got to be honest. I think this was the first time I went back to revisit it since it was in theaters.
Me too.
Okay.
I like it's been in the background like occasionally. Like I would go down to the Hula Girl Shave Ice place in Huntington Beach,
Yeah.
and they always are playing it there. So I've seen scenes here and there, but it's definitely the first time I've seen it since it came out. And I feel very differently about it now, I think, than when it first was in theaters. In a good way.
Oh, in a good way. Okay. I think I did a review of it on this show way back in the day. Let's see. It was episode number 346 was my Moana review. And I was very meh about it. I'd say I'm probably still in that place. I think the quote, if I'm remembering correctly, was I said, it's a solid C-. And I'd probably give it, I'm pretty sure that's what I said. I don't remember for sure. But in any case, I kind of still agree with that. It's not my favorite, but I don't dislike it at all. Well, there are moments I dislike. But like, you know, she's a cool character, and I think we've gotten some cool stuff from it. But let's just start with some of our favorite moments. As you rewatch this, actually, I do want to hear a little bit more about how you said it's changed for you, and it sounds like it's gotten better. So
Yeah, I don't know what it was. When I first saw it, I'm like, oh, like that was good. Like I wasn't coming out of theater being like, wow, Moana, oh my gosh. I was like, yeah, like that was cute. That was fun.
yeah, exactly.
And I like cried watching it today.
Really?
And I was like, what is happening? And like I was truly watching it being like, I don't know how I wasn't gushing over this movie when it first came out.
It is weird. Yeah,
I don't know what changed.
Well, you know, it's just time passes and you're in a different mental space or whatever. And it is interesting how I've had moments where movies I've loved, I'll go back and look at them and just be like, what did I see in this movie? And that's always heartbreaking to like be in love with something and then realize years later, it's like, oh, this does not exactly hold up. But yeah, I still had very mixed feelings about Moana. Visually, it's a beautiful movie. But let's start with some of our favorite moments. I want to hear one of your favorite moments from this film. We'll keep out the musical stuff for now. Just little moments.
I mean, honestly, that baby Moana, that first scene where she like is chasing, for when the sea turtle is like the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
Like, please save that baby sea turtle, give him his own short. I need more. And it's just like, what an iconic scene. I was trying to think of an equivalent of that from this kind of quote unquote new age Disney movies. And there's really nothing quite like that scene, and then a scene that's like later in the movie that I'm sure we'll talk about next.
Yeah, I literally the first thing on my list as well is that scene with baby Moana playing in the water, helping out the little baby sea turtle. And, you know, the water in this film is just so I love water. You're an Aries as well. Are you the same as me? I
mean,
I think that's a water sign, isn't it?
no, Aries is such a fire sign.
Oh, is it? Jeez, I don't even know.
Yeah,
oh, well, I'm a
yeah.
water guy. I may be an Aries, but I love water. And like literally when I'm near an ocean or a lake or even a fountain, like it's just energy for me. I love water. So looking at the way the water moves and just, oh gosh, how perfectly beautiful it is in this film. It's just so refreshing to me. It's probably my favorite part of the movie is just how beautiful the water is. And we see that in that little scene with baby Moana. It's very cool.
That scene to me resonates as classic Disney animation because there's no narration, there's no story, there's no audio. It's just these beautiful visuals that evoke such strong emotion. And that's what Disney, I think, does best. And how that escaped me the first time I saw it, I don't know. But I'm watching it this time, and I'm just like, wow, this feels like Disney.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a great way to introduce the character. She is adorable, and you know we don't always see the princesses as babies. There are a few that we do, but not always. So it's nice to see that. But even cooler, what I liked was we actually see her age and grow up.
Yeah, we definitely don't get that a lot.
No, I can't even think of any other time where we see them at, like, if they are multiple ages, it's usually like really young and then, the teenage version of the film. I don't think we usually see like kid version, or maybe Anna and Elsa.
Anna and Elsa,
Yeah.
they do, yeah.
Okay. but they're not princesses. Forget them. They're not official.
It's true. They're not. Get out of here.
So, but it is cool. Like during that musical song, Where You Are, this is when we see her kind of aging, and she is inducted as I guess, a princess? Yes, no. There's a whole thing when it comes to the term princess in this film, which is also interesting when it comes to making her an official Disney princess. But I do love that whole kind of montage of seeing her grow up in age and becoming the character that we know in most of the film. It's pretty cool.
And I mean, I gotta say, I do not know much about Polynesian culture at all. I'll just lay that out. But I do think that it's cool that she is going to be the next chief as a girl.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like normal in Polynesian culture. If it is, awesome. But it's I don't know. It was really cool to just be like, this is kind of the norm on this island. And it feels like it's just kind of part of her, I don't know, it's part of her character that we don't get to see. Like Mulan kind of has to go for it and earn it and be like, I can prove myself. And Moana does that in her own way, but she can just be the chief, like straight up, which is rad.
You want to hear a crazy story that you're never going to believe me when I tell you, and neither will the listeners. But
okay,
I went to Las Vegas and hung out with a Polynesian princess named Moana.
I'm sorry. Excuse me, in Vegas?
So I was in Vegas visiting my sister, and my sister's friend Moana is a Polynesian princess. And I remember, like, my sister actually reached out to me when they announced this movie, Moana. And my sister was like, they're making a Disney movie about my friend. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, literally, my friend is a Polynesian princess and her name is Moana. And so we hung out in Vegas. I was like, all right, cool.
Was she like Moana in any way?
No. But I mean, she was very nice, but she was like an older woman and I don't, didn't remind me of Moana at all, but it was very funny. I was just like, wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's totally random, but it's, that's my life, I guess. Any other little
I love that.
favorite moments that stood out to you?
Listen, I know that Hey Hey is only there to be dumb.
And that's what he is, yes.
But every scene with Hey Hey is just delightful. And I love it so much.
You know what's so interesting to me? Hey Hey and Pua, it's Pua, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's just because I'm older and like more aware of good storytelling that I noticed this, but I feel like the sidekick characters when I was growing up had a lot more to do. And like the story was actually affected by them. Hey Hey and Pua are totally useless. There might be tiny moments where like Hey Hey catches, the stone or something, but it's like they only he didn't need to be there to do that. You know what I mean? They just kind of gave him something to do because he's there. I don't know.
He's comic relief. He doesn't need to be there, and I agree with everything that you're saying.
But it's interesting, though, just because in the past, like, those comic relief characters served more of a purpose. I just wish they'd get back to that, because it definitely, I feel like for a lot of these Princess Ponderings, I've said the same thing over and over, where it's like, that character was pointless, like, and I don't know, I just feel like it wasn't always that way, and I'm not sure why it's become the norm, I guess. Like, the plush toy characters can still have a purpose,
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. I do think that Hey Hey, I mean, there are moments where he's kind of helpful, and they even foreshadow him swallowing the heart of Te-Fiti, where he swallows the rock pretty early on, like. But he is there just to because I mean, if you think about him not being there, Moana is on her ship boat thing a while, like by herself.
She's got the ocean. The ocean's her friend.
I mean, she does have the ocean.
Yeah, but hey, I'm glad you enjoy Hey Hey. I loved it, like literally a little laugh out loud moment for me. Do you remember the little boy flirting with her as she was like giving the dance lessons?
Gosh, yes.
I was like, this is one of the best Moana moments ever. I don't know, that little boy flirting and her reaction like literally made me laugh out loud.
It's too real. It's too real. I've been there where these like little boys, like they're very flirty and funny, and I was like, oh, this is such a great moment.
I also love the relationship that she has with her grandmother, and the line the grandmother says when she goes, "I'm the village crazy lady." I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like that's probably my favorite relationship in the whole movie between Moana and her grandmother. It's just really lovely, and that's the one that tugs at the heartstrings and stuff. Moana's also a chick that can stand up for herself, which is one of the cooler things, and I think. I feel like this was definitely purposeful, like very purposeful in this film, because Disney does come under a bit of scrutiny when it comes to a lot of their princesses are just waiting for the man to save the day. Mm-hmm. I feel like that was a very purposeful decision. How do you feel? And I don't mean it felt forced or anything. It just felt like, no, they have a message they want to get across, so they're making her like a strong, independent woman.
Yeah, no, I think it was done a lot better than it was done in Brave, because I think they kind of were trying to do the same thing with Brave and making her being like, I'll fight for my own hand, but Merida is kind of a brat and Moana is not.
We can't even put those two in the same sentence. Moana and Merida are on such totally different levels. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it was great. I think it played really well. Like you said, I don't think it felt forced at all. Mm-hmm. And she needed that. Like she had to be strong in order to make the story work at all. Mm-hmm. I think. Yeah. And she needed to have the support of her grandma. And when her mom like sees her leaving and helps her pack, like that, like I like shed a single tear in that one moment. I was like, oh yes, Mom, we love support. But yeah, I totally agree. It felt very purposeful, but for a new generation of girls that are growing up with these Disney movies and redefining what it means to be, a princess, since she's a princess now.
Okay, speaking of princess, of course, this is Princess Pondering. We need to talk about the elephant in the room, where there is literally a line in the film where Moana says, "I'm not a princess, I'm the daughter of the chief." And Maui then says, "You wear a dress and you have an animal sidekick. You're a princess." And I'm just like, okay, guys, you made this girl who says, "I'm not a princess," an official Disney princess. And I get it. This isn't the first time they've done this. Pocahontas isn't a princess. Mm-hmm. And who's the other one? There was another one that I'm like, that's not a princess either.
I mean, Mulan is not a princess.
Mulan, that's the other one on the list. Yeah, They're not princesses, yet they're official Disney princesses. But this is the first time where like the character flat out says, "I'm not a princess." Yet Disney's like, princess.disney.com is like, nope, she is a Disney princess.
And she's the main thing on the homepage right now.
Oh, gosh.
She's like the main graphic at the top.
I know, it's unbelievable. What do you think of this? That's weird.
I mean, it is. I mean, the line is definitely to kind of be very aware of itself and kind of poke fun at, the traditional idea of what it means to be a princess. And I think it was, it's meant to be funny and it's meant to poke fun of and not taken as seriously. And maybe because this was coming off the heels of Frozen. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe they kind of thought that it would be able to stand on its own. Like Moana could stand on her own as much as Frozen did because Frozen was such a smash.
Sure.
And then it kind of got to the point where it was like, all right, well, Moana didn't take off in the same way.
Yeah.
So we need to rescue her and make her a princess now. But it is
so they're
very
doing the
ironic.
The two things they set off not to do. They're like, we need to rescue her. She can't take care of herself, and she's a princess now. All right.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird. I need to find the date that this happened. Truly, I need to find a date.
You need to find a what?
I need to find a date.
That she became
like
an official Disney princess. See, it's interesting because you think that it happened a bit later on. I'm kind of the mindset that it just happened. Like the movie came out and like, yeah, she's a Disney princess now. I don't know, but I did, I've done some Googling and stuff, and I can see you're trying to find it right now, which is awesome.
I'm looking right now.
Yeah, let me know if you find anything. I couldn't really find any, because like you said, like it feels like induction ceremonies and such are kind of the norm for these types of things after they gathered their original group of princesses. One other thing I want to touch on Just, I mean, obviously, listen, that is a funny line, that whole "I'm not a princess" thing. It is a funny moment in the film, I'll give you that. But there's another moment that Maui has that is, it's a joke, but it puts it kind of dates the film quite quickly, in my opinion. And that's when he goes, "When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting." And I was like, how weird to make a Twitter reference. Like, it felt so DreamWorks to me. You know what I mean? Like, they have no... It's really interesting. I've talked to people at DreamWorks and stuff, and they don't care about their films lasting forever as much as Disney does. They just want to be really hot in that moment. So you'll get a lot of, like, current references and such. And so I don't know, this was just, it felt like such a DreamWorks moment to me when he referenced Twitter. I was like, that's so weird.
It definitely feels off. Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like a Disney move. And I wonder, because the screenplay was written by Taika Waititi, and I wonder how much he kind of, it sounds like something that Taika would write, but it's something that I'm surprised was in.
Yeah, I was surprised that made the final cut. Just like I said, it dates it, it's immediately, at some point Twitter, it'll be like, actually, what was I watching recently? I was watching something and they made a MySpace reference, and I was like, oh, wow, okay.
Oh, no.
This is older than I thought. Yeah, so, it's so funny. Were you able to Google anything about her official princess?
No.
Yeah.
No, people are just like, where's the coronation? Did this happen already? Like, people don't know. People need the answers.
They're going to have a coronation when her attraction opens at Epcot. That's what's going to happen. They're going to be like...
That'd be kind of cool.
And now we'll do it. No, we'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that, of course. Any other favorite moments you want to talk about, or shall we jump into some of her music?
I love Maui's tattoo. I think it's such a fun way to incorporate 2D animation and bring another element.
Yeah, Eric Goldberg did that stuff, right? I think the famous Disney 2D animator. I think Eric Goldberg worked on that.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I know we're still doing things here and there, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh yeah, he's like a full-time staffer there. He's always got something going on. It's funny.
He's iconic. I love him.
He is.
I love him so much.
Yeah, he's wonderful. So
and like my last kind of big thing, like watching this, that for some reason I guess I didn't really think about when I first saw it, is when you think about these new Disney films and this, what is the time frame where, like, is it new revival or revival?
What do
like
you?
We're in like
a second
we have
Renaissance.
the Renaissance. Yeah, is this the second Renaissance?
That's
part
what
of that?
although I think we're at the end of it, honestly.
Well, anyway, whatever.
Yes, this would have been part
group,
of the second Renaissance.
Yeah, whatever this like group of movies. I feel like Disney's coming out with these new animated movies that are lacking in like a classic villain. They don't have a lot of really kind of scary moments, and I feel like there's a lot of actual scary moments in Moana.
Okay.
Which is cool. Like there's a lot of dark, like Taka is super scary when she gets caught in the reef and like almost drowns, is very heightened and very scary. And then when she has that like super intense dream where Motunui is like covered in ashes and is kind of disappearing. There's a lot of really intense kind of dark moments in this, which I really appreciated because I think it's something that's been missing from a lot of these new Disney movies.
Yeah, I do want a new iconic villain though, like real badly.
Yeah.
We need
I agree.
really good iconic. Who was the last one? Was it the Shadow Man and Dr. Facilier? Was he like the last real villain we've had? I feel like it's been a hot second.
I mean, Turbo. Did Wreck-It Ralph came after Princess and the Frog?
I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm ready for another Ursula, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
Oh no, when was Mother Gothel? She's a good villain.
Oh yeah, no, Mother Gothel's amazing.
Yeah. In fact, she
But
kind
that
of
came,
is Ursula.
Oh yeah, that came after, because Tango came after Princess and the Frog.
Yeah, for sure. But in any case, I'm ready for more villains. Just want to
Same.
Put that there.
Same.
So let's talk about the music, because she has, and this is arguably, I think, The Water's the best thing, and then How Far I'll Go it's a really great song, and I do not like all of the music in this movie. It's funny, there are certain numbers I really like, How Far I'll Go being one of them, and others I don't care for at all. But I mean, this is a great princess song.
See, I think this is an amazing song. I think it's a beautiful want song. I think it's beautifully performed. And no one loves Lin-Manuel Miranda more than me. Of my friend group, he is the one that I will die for. And the one line in that song that's everybody has a roll on this island, so maybe I can roll with mine, drives me up the wall.
It's very Lin, though, don't you think?
It's so Lin, but it's so not Disney
It's not
want song.
Sure.
That I'm just like, oh no, it makes me, it's a point of tension in my own brain. I can't, because I love that song so much, and I love Lin so much, and I love that classic, iconic Disney song so much, and I'm just like, it's just, they fight in my heart, and it makes me so upset.
I didn't realize you were such a diehard Lin-Manuel Miranda fan.
Oh my gosh, Jeff, you have no idea. You know that I went to Puerto Rico just to see him in Hamilton, right?
Did you really?
Yeah. I was in the 4th row.
I gotta tell you, I'm on the opposite spectrum as you. I don't dislike him. I sincerely don't. But I do think, and this is coming from somebody who has not seen Hamilton yet, but I haven't seen Hamilton because I don't really have a grand desire to. I gotta be completely honest. Like, I've listened to the cast album. Dare I say, I think he's overhyped.
Okay. This is a tangent.
Please, let's hear it.
We talk about like musicals, like we love stage shows and musicals and Broadway so much.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like what is Hamilton? I was not excited to see it. I didn't care to see it. I felt like I needed to see it to like be a part of that conversation and see what it was all about because it was so hyped.
Sure.
And I was terrified that I was going to hate it. And by that intermission, I was speechless. But I had gone in completely blind. I didn't know any of the soundtrack. I hadn't listened to anything. And my jaw was to the floor. I was aghast at like what I had seen. And before that, like I didn't think anything about Hamilton. Didn't know who Lin-Manuel Miranda was. Like none of that. And now I'm like, oh my God, he's my favorite person in the world.
I hope I have that experience. I will say I did listen to the cast album because before like most people on Earth saw it, people were in love with the cast album. And so I did listen to it and I was like, it's fine. It didn't rock my world. Wasn't my favorite. So I don't know. I will see it eventually. I'm certainly not against seeing it. I'm just against paying like $500 to see it is the thing.
It'll be at Pantages like whenever it opens back up. It'll be there for a long time.
Yes, exactly.
So we'll be entering that lottery every day.
Exactly. I have every intention of entering the lottery, and if worst comes to worst, guess what? It's going to be on the big screen in 2021 because Disney's doing that.
I wanted to like come out earlier. I want to be like, we're all struggling for content right now. Release it digitally.
I'm not gonna lie, I had that thought. I was like, listen, it's shot. It could maybe end up on Disney Plus. You never. I doubt it. It's way too much of a moneymaker. But
no,
I did have the thought. In any case, How Far I'll Go.
Anyway,
beautiful Moana song. And then, like is often the case, she really doesn't have many other songs. She has a reprise of How Far I'll Go, and the other song that she sings as a part of is Know Who You Are, which is less memorable, I would say. But since you are such a big Lin-Manuel fan, I do want to know, even if it's not a Moana song, what is your favorite song in the film?
Shiny. Shiny's my favorite.
Oh my God, it's my least favorite. I hate that song with a passion. I mean, Tiff, I hate that song.
I'm so sorry. I love Shiny so much. I love Jermaine Clements so much. I think that it's very weird. I think it is like somewhat out of place in this entire movie, and I just don't care. I think it's such a weird...
Here's the thing.
I'm like, I listen to it and I'm like, God, I can't believe this is a Disney song.
Even if it wasn't in that movie, like, I don't know what it is. I agree, it does not fit as part of the movie. It feels wrong. But I just don't like the song. Stand Alone. I don't think it is an appealing song whatsoever. Oh my gosh. Okay, I might hate Hamilton now. Since you loved it.
Well, there's nothing, I don't think there's anything about Shiny that feels like Hamilton. You're Welcome feels way more Hamilton. If you like You're Welcome.
I'm cool with You're Welcome. I'm fine with it.
You're Welcome feels very, very Lin.
Okay. Cool.
Shiny feels weird. Shiny feels a little like Flight of Conchords-y.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, because Jermaine is like part of that, but it's very weird. It's very like tongue in cheek. There's a lot of very funny lines, like the way like will sparkle like a wealthy woman's neck. Come on, who wrote that? That is insane. That is an insane line, and I'm obsessed.
I love that you love it. It's hilarious. Since there aren't many more songs of hers to talk about, or any more, I should say, let's jump to the park representation that we have. Right now, we got Magic Happens happening, at Disneyland, a new parade, and a great new parade, which I need to do an episode of the show about, because I love Magic Happens.
It's like, I was like, okay, we're not going to have Paint the Night. I'm happy to have this right now.
Yeah, it's
like,
fantastic.
I feel, I have like all of those same feelings about Magic Happens that I did with Paint the Night. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's great. So there is a Moana float. In fact, kind of two Moana floats in here. And Moana is on her boat. And it's a beautiful float that I will say, if go see it at night if you can, because a lot of her floats specifically is, monitors, LED screens and stuff, and you can see it much better at night. But gosh, I love her representation in this parade, and you even get your little hey moment in this parade.
Mm-hmm. I think the Moana unit is the best unit of that entire parade.
Oh, I'd have to go back.
I think it's my favorite.
I still can't get over the fact that Sword in the Stone has a float, but that's a whole other tangent.
I mean, yeah, he like Merlin, like that is Merlin's parade. He should somehow start and finish the parade.
It's amazing. But, the Moana section is great. I will say, does Maui not remind you of Baymax a little bit on that float? That costume.
Kind of. He reminds me more of Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, I can see that as well. It's a bit of an odd costume.
Yeah, but there's no other way to do him, I think.
I guess not. It's an odd character to have to see in the park, I will say. But yeah, Moana section in that parade is great. The parade is overall fantastic. I love it. And then
the music, the music, the way the music is kind of like remixed and blended together.
Yeah.
Like the Moana remixes in that parade are fantastic.
Even her little dance moves to go along with that music. I love her choreography up on the float. It's great. So yeah. I was happy to see that. And then over at Walt Disney World, of course, she has her own featured segment in the Happily Ever After fireworks. And it's a great segment. And it's usually one of those ones where like the crowd goes wild when they...
I was going to say that. Yeah. It's like, it's a big like, ooh moment from the crowd whenever it happens. I mean, I even had that because I feel like it was the first time, that was the first representation of her that I had seen in the park. And it's done like so beautifully.
Yeah. What's interesting about Moana is it's certainly not a flop, but it's not like a Frozen hit either. So it has this like potential of being forgotten, yet we're reminded of it every once in a while. And when we're reminded, we're like, oh yeah, there was that really good movie that came out after Frozen, but was still overshadowed by Frozen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it was just unfortunate timing for Moana. I think if Moana had come out before Frozen, it would have performed and been kind of embedded in everybody's head a little bit stronger. Yeah. But I don't think people had cooled off from Frozen by any means when this came out.
Cooled off from Frozen.
Oh, no. That was a total accident. I hate myself.
I like it. But yeah, other than that, Happily Ever After and Magic Happens, as of right now, I don't know any other grander scale representation in the parks other than like meet and greets and stuff. I know overseas she actually has a show. Oh gosh, is it Hong Kong? What's the park where in Adventureland,
yes.
like they have a whole stage?
Yeah, it's in Hong Kong Disneyland. She has her own show.
Okay.
There. And it's like I haven't seen it, but I've seen some photos and things from it, and it looks like it's just an entire stage production of sorts. Just dedicated to Moana.
So I guess that's probably the biggest things she currently has in the parks. Can you think of any others other than like meet and greets or anything?
No, not really. I mean, forever ago, she had her own dedicated meet and greet in like like the Animation Academy equivalent over in Disneyland Paris, and just a few things here and there, but it's all been just meet and greet related.
Great. So let's talk about the future, and that is over at Epcot with Journey of Water inspired by Moana. And this is described as being part of World Nature it's going to be part of the World Nature Neighborhood. Side tangent here, I love this whole World Nature, World Discovery, World Celebration, World Showcase thing. I think it works so much better than what they had before.
Oh, I'm like, I am full steam ahead. Give me new Epcot or give me death right now. I love everything that they've announced that they're doing. I'm into all of it. I'm into like these new, like not only just the attractions, but the names of everything that they're doing and this whole new concept. It feels like it's going back to the old kind of, these old pavilions and everything. It's nice.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're definitely like making it more cohesive, but it's like 21st century IP cohesive, but at least it's all going to be, the continuity of it will make sense, if you know what I mean. I don't love IP being part of everything, especially in Epcot.
Same.
But at least they're doing it in a way that makes it a cohesive unit at this point. I am a little nervous about what's going to happen to Spaceship Earth, just because I love me some Spaceship Earth, and I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen here. But we'll see. We'll see. Let's talk about Moana, though. So it's going to be part of World Nature, and this new experience is an exploration trail, and it'll let guests interact with magical living water in a beautiful and inspiring setting. The water will have a life of its own, just like Moana's friend, the ocean, and guests will learn about the importance of the natural water cycle. Now, to me, this is like that perfect example of IP being tied into something edutainment-y at Epcot.
That's my favorite word, edutainment, my favorite thing on the planet. I love an edutainment moment. And yeah, I think it's a really nice way to inject some IP without throwing it in your face and necessarily this attraction is going to maintain the integrity of what the attraction is and isn't dependent on Moana.
Sure.
But they found a way to weave Moana in it to where it'll be cohesive and just like really beautiful.
I hope that there are some really cool water effects. I hope it's not just like, 1980s Epcot hopping fountains and that's it, because that would be a bit disappointing. Because as we've talked about in Moana, the water does some awesome magical things. And listen, some of it is, impossible, shall we say, but I hope that they got some really cool tricks up their sleeves. And I feel like this is an area that maybe, and I don't think they've touched on this at all, but I wouldn't be surprised if like at nighttime, kind of like, Pixie Hollow becomes a bit more magical. I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes a bit more special at night.
I would love that. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited about it in so many ways. Like I love when kids have in the park, like I missed Dot's Puddle Park. It wasn't called a puddle park, was it?
I don't know what they called it, but I know what you're talking about. Over in a Bugs
little
Land.
Those little splash pad areas in the parks, I think are such a fun element to add for the kids that are too little to do other rides. And like they're very content. It's like when you get a new box of something and it has this full of toys for your cat and then the cat just wants to play with the box.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing. Like you have this 2-year-old that can't, isn't like understanding whatever, but like loves to just play in this water.
Yeah. While
the other, kids in your party are doing Spaceship Earth and Test Track and all of these things. So I'm happy to see that it's going to be I'm hoping anyway, that it's going to be kind of a really nice blend of being able to entertain kids of all ages. Mm-hmm. And give opportunities for the little ones to like play in the water and get wet and just like do whatever, but then also maybe have these like beautiful moments for people that want to appreciate, the element of water itself.
Yeah, and as you know, as I said, I love water, so I'll be there. But do you think that this will? I'm going to say something that probably a lot of people haven't experienced or seen. And I'm curious if you think that this will happen with this whole, when it's new, this whole Moana water thing. I remember as a kid, your mind's going to be blown here, waiting in line and waiting at least as a kid, it felt like a good long while to get into the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movie set adventure.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
Really?
I also did that. Yes.
Oh, wow. Girl, you old.
Yeah, no, I'm up there. I've got pictures like in the big, they had the Lego toy that you could like go in and you can get on Auntie. Like I have photos of me in that area. Those are some of my most vivid memories from that vacation are in the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids set.
But do you remember waiting in line to get in? Because I
feel like
there was a standby queue. I can very much remember this. I remember my mom being like, "Oh, it's a playground," and I was like, "This is amazing."
I know like some of the picture, we have a picture of the outside of it, and there's definitely a line in front of it.
Okay. So I think, people maybe 10 years younger than us or whatever might be surprised to hear that the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movie set adventure at one point had a standby queue. And I'm kind of curious whether or not this Moana thing will. I mean, it's definitely one of those things that I don't think is meant to, but I feel like it might be really popular when it initially opens. I guess everything is at Disney, like a new muffin or cupcake rather at Disney Park gets a line, so I'm sure this will.
Yeah, the culture has shifted so much that no matter what comes out, it's going to have a line. Like, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
I think it just really depends on when it comes out in relation to when all these other things are going to come out.
Sure. Yeah, if it's the only new thing like 1 week, then everybody will be there. But if they're opening a bunch of stuff all at once, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Epcot's going to be interesting. But that's like the big Moana thing happening. Correct. I might be insane with this. Was there some concept art that showed Moana inside of Spaceship Earth, or did I make that up in my brain?
No. So they're at D23, they showed a slide and it had a stingray that looked a little bit like Moana's grandmother.
Okay.
And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, they're putting Moana in Spaceship Earth." And I've heard that it's not Moana and it's not a stingray.
Okay.
Like it's not her grandmother, but that I'm trying to remember where I even read about it. But you kind of, I think like the new Spaceship Earth, you're like following a thing throughout your whole journey.
Yeah, like pixie dust essentially is what it looks like. Yeah.
And in one segment, it like takes the form of a stingray. And I think just because, I mean, I'm only can imagine that that's going to be done with projections, and that at one point it'll be a stingray, and then I'm sure when you go to another room it'll look like something else. But
sure, yeah, okay. Well, that's I couldn't remember if I made that up in my head or what, but so that was a thing at one point that people were talking about. Okay,
yeah, people were like, after that Parks panel, people were like, "What is this? Do not do this to Spaceship Earth." And then at some point it got cleared up that that's not what it was. You're following a thing, and this happens to be a stingray, and then...
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I like that. Well, so since she doesn't have a ton of representation in the parks, let's do a little bit of armchair Imagineering. Is there anything Moana that you would like to see brought to the parks, or that you think maybe we will someday?
I kind of was going back and forth on everything. Obviously, like any sort of boat ride, because she's on a boat, seems to make sense. But I'm thinking just of the real estate availability in the park, and I don't know that we're ever going to see a Moana sequel. I don't know about an attraction or a ride or anything, but I do think there is something very cool that would be very feasible that they could do to not the park, but at the Polynesian Resort.
Oh, yeah.
So at the Contemporary, they have like I think it's called like the Pirates and Pals fireworks something. And you go to the Contemporary, you meet in a room, you meet with Captain Hook and Smee, and then you get taken on a barge. You go watch Happily Ever After, and then you come back and you meet Peter Pan on the dock. And I'm like, how cool would it be to do that at the Polynesian, but with Moana? And you have all of these activities before, and you could do it on the Polynesian Resort beach. You can learn, like Moana dancing. You can learn about wayfinding. You have themed snacks and whatever available. Go out on a boat, just like you do in the Contemporary, because Moana sails, so why would you not be on water? Go and watch Happily Ever After, which has a huge Moana section. And then when you come back to the Polynesian, Moana greets you on the dock. You get to interact with her. She does whatever, story time, whatever, interacts with all the kids. And I think it would be perfect. And I was like thinking about it. I'm like, why does this not happen right now? Why is this not happening already?
Okay, Imagineers listening, that is gold. That is gold right there.
It seems so like straightforward and perfectly themed.
Well, because that's cheap for Disney to produce, right? It's not like building a new ride. That's just like, an upcharge party that they could have. That's really smart. Don't be surprised if that ends up happening. Is what else? For me, there was nothing specifically that I was like, oh, I want to see this happen. But there were a few things watching the movie that I'm like, I'm surprised nothing's been done with this. Kind of like what you just said. You're surprised nothing with the Polynesian. When I love that moment with Baby Moana walking out into the ocean and like how the ocean parts and kind of makes walls of water. Mm-hmm. I think it would be kind of cool to do something like that in the seas with Nemo and friends. Like, I'd kind of love to see a Moana overlay of the seas pavilion. But if they did, I would want to see a tank that essentially looks like that, where you're like walking into the ocean and the tank is actually, the walls of the tank look like the parting of the ocean. I think that would be super, super cool, and I would love that. Obviously,
that'd be amazing.
Not cheap, but beautiful. So I'm surprised, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point, like you said, there's probably not going to be a sequel. I could see Moana being a Disney Plus series if they wanted to revisit that character the way that they did like with Tangled. I think it would lend itself to that quite nicely.
I could see, I definitely could see that.
Yeah.
Moana and Maui would definitely team up on all these adventures and do whatever else they need to sail to some other island and do whatever else. I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be fun to explore her like being chief. Now, I mean, Elena of Avalor is a great show, and she's literally like, I watched an episode of Elena of Avalor, and they're talking about trade. Yeah, and I'm like, this is amazing. Like, there's a lot of political things happening in a very unexpected way, and I think that would be cool to do with Moana too.
And then Pua and Heihei can have like their little outro every episode where they have, they get into some sort of antics or something. But the other thing I'm surprised, the Kakamura are the little coconut creature things that they battle with. I'm surprised they haven't done anything with these at Aulani, just because have you been to Aulani?
No, that's like where we're trying to go for our honeymoon, though.
Oh, you should. It's amazing.
Non-negotiable.
But they have little people hidden around called menuhene, and they're these little wooden doll creature things hidden like all over the resort. Like you'll get in the elevator and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a menuhene in my elevator. It's super cool. And I was like, I'm a little surprised they didn't work the Kakamura into there somewhere. That shocked me. And the other thing, like you said, a boat ride, I just was like, I think it's during Shiny with all the blacklight stuff in the movie, right? I'm like, this is dying to be a dark ride. Like just these visuals are set up for that, right?
It would be a lot like Na'vi River Journey, which is kind of what I was thinking as far as like a boat ride with Moana, because you really want that nighttime with the stars, because that's your wayfinding with that. And it feels like it would be close to what Na'vi would be to me.
I completely agree with you. One thing, I always ask in Princess Pondering, do you think it should be a Broadway musical or turned into a stage production?
I think it can't. As much as the music really lends itself to the stage, I think really beautifully. I think I see a lot of kind of Broadway elements in a lot of the songs. There's a lot of exposition in songs that are very Broadway-like, but just from a production standpoint alone, like, how do you do that without just having screens all the time for the water? Like, how do you sail? How do you part the sea? How do you have a lava monster? Like,
I mean, they did Mermaid, but I agree it shouldn't be done. I don't want to see a Moana Broadway show. I have no interest personally. I mean, if they did it, I'd see it, but not that interested.
I think it would have to be a different story. But I don't know what the story would be if it's not about Moana learning to sail and save her island. Like, how else can she save her island?
Well, this is kind of a perfect segue, because as we go into like the real story, or the story that Moana is based on, this is based on South Pacific legend, and a lot of those legends are actually centered around Maui, not Moana. Moana is a Disney created character, whereas Maui has a lot of mythology surrounding him. So they, if they were going to focus on a different character, Maui would be the one, and it would actually bring it closer to the story. Once again, I don't think they should put it on stage, but let's talk a little bit about this real story. Did you read into this at all, or was there anything that stood out to you? There's a lot of different versions. As I said, it's based on a South Pacific legend. There's actually different versions of the same story based on ancient Hawaiian, Tahitian, Tongan, Samoan, and Polynesian mythology. Is all have their own versions of this. But Moana herself is very much a Disney creation, as they often do. But the Maui stuff, some of it was close, some of it not so much. Apparently his appearance was very different in the original stories.
Yeah, I read there was a lot of backlash, or maybe not full-on backlash, but a lot of conversations in development because he was supposed to be this slim, kind of muscular guy, and instead, like, Disney actively chose to make him larger and more, more like look like what a quote-unquote traditional hero would be, I guess.
More demigod-like, yeah. And so in the original, of course, Maui's story is just much more violent in the original story, so Disney tamed that down. He has 4 brothers. He is the son of a god and a mortal woman, which makes him a demigod. And as you said, in most stories, Maui is very slim, young man coming of age. And Maui creates the islands with the big hook by, throwing it down to the ocean floor and pulling it up and creating different islands. There's also a famous story of him restraining the sun. And, Disney always does this. They just put their own little spin on things.
Yeah.
But
I think, honestly, like, making him like, I know one of the big differences with they made him an orphan or an abandoned child. And I think from a storytelling aspect, from like I guess, classic Disney storytelling.
yeah, where the parents are always gone.
Right? I think it makes it easier to justify his really, like, heightened desire to be admired and loved because he was abandoned. I think it plays into that, even if it's not accurate to the legend. I can see why Disney was like, well, let's make it this way because it plays well for this narrative of him needing admiration.
Yeah. And just tying back to Moana for a second, Moana actually means ocean in Hawaiian and Maori languages. So there's that as well. So, if you were sticking to the mythology and such, the movie would probably be called Maui. But Disney likes princesses, so we got Moana. And with that, just overall, do you think she deserves the title of Disney princess, official Disney princess?
I mean, why not? If Pocahontas can be a princess, if Mulan can be a princess, why not have a girl who is very determined, very brave, very unconventional in a traditional princess sense? Like, let her kind of be the face of this new princess and see where this leads us.
I love what you said when you started talking because my notes literally say the same exact thing. My notes
gosh.
No, but if Pocahontas and Mulan can, why can't Moana? That's what it comes down. I don't think she should be, but she deserves it more than Pocahontas or Mulan, I would probably say. So, it's not up to us. It's up to Disney. She is an official Disney princess. Hence, she gets the honor of a princess pondering here on Disney Coast to Coast. And she is one. When it happened, none of us know. None of us know. I did go to Rotten Tomatoes just because I was very curious. The score is very good. This film, it's a loved film. But there were a couple of reviews that I wanted to share. One review on Rotten Tomatoes goes, "It's as annoying as it is beautiful."
Oh no.
And that was from Smith T. Smith T, you cracked me up. It's as annoying as it is beautiful. I kind of get it. I kind of get that.
I mean, if he hates shiny as much as you do.
A solid C-. One other review I got here. It goes, "My issue with this movie is the message that it sends. Throughout the whole trip, Moana was unceasingly helped by others. It was to the point that Moana didn't actually do anything, but the ocean would knock her and force her into situations so she could be the hero. In the real world, you're not forced to be successful. You have to work hard yourself. While this is just a kid's movie, the overarching message that oceans will be split literally for you to succeed feed is completely false and worthless. I would have liked the first Disney princess without a prince to be a little more independent and admirable. That being said, the soundtrack was great, earning my 2 stars. That's from Anna X. What do you think of that? Do you agree? Oh, the look on your face is wonderful.
I'm like, what? Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah.
I mean, not entirely wrong when you really break it down that way.
Yeah.
I mean, she does have to, I do think that she's still very brave.
Yeah, she fights for stuff. I don't agree with the statement that she gets everything handed to her. I definitely think she fights for stuff, but the ocean definitely helps her a lot.
I mean, yeah, she also is a child. She's also never sailed.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the ocean is, I don't know. The ocean is like a catalyst for her.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the ocean is just like the most supportive cheerleader and does help in a lot of ways, but also doesn't. Like the ocean also does make it more difficult.
Yeah.
Like when whenever she's like going to drown in the reef, the ocean overturns her boat constantly. So, I mean, I think it helps as much as it makes her journey difficult.
I want to experience that at Epcot, where like this water sometimes just has a nasty attitude and is going to drench you out of nowhere. You don't even see it coming. It's like
that'd be amazing.
Split personality water. I like it.
I mean, that's what Grandma likes. Grandma likes how the water is mischievous and misbehaves.
But she's the town crazy lady or the village crazy lady. Anyway, that was fun. Anything you want to add about Moana before we get some trivia here?
I don't know. I mean, I think she's a beautiful character. I love how she's like, I love her journey. I love her story. I love that she, you know, the fact that she is a Disney princess and she has such a strong cultural heritage, I think is important. You know, we have a lot of very traditional European white princesses. So I think it's great that she's part of the bigger picture of the princesses and what it, you know, redefining what that means, not only from a character aspect, but just, you know, your culture. And I don't know, she's great. I think like I said, I don't know what changed and why I had like such like more feelings about the movie this go around than my first time. But
let me ask you this. The first time you saw it, was that pre or post seeing Hamilton for you?
It was.
This movie existed before Hamilton, right?
Yes. Well, no, I think it came out. I think it came out the same year. I know Lin was working on music for Moana the same time that he was writing Hamilton, because Ron and John were like, he was like, I want to work on this, but I'm also like working on this thing about like Alexander Hamilton.
Gotcha.
So I know they were being worked on simultaneously.
Okay, but you saw Moana first before you saw Hamilton.
I saw Moana first.
I mean, maybe that was a bit of a change for you. You became a Lin fan. Maybe.
But I mean, I still feel the same about the songs. Like I think my opinions on the songs haven't.
You always liked Shiny?
I did always like Shiny. Ugh. Shiny was always my favorite.
People do seem to have strong opinions, but I will say that I know many people who love that song and others who are just like, where did that come from? So it's just one of those songs that you're either going to love or hate, it seems like. And luckily for you, you love it. The
things that really stood out to me were all of these darker elements that I didn't really appreciate, that I was like, wow, this actually feels like Disney. Mm-hmm. And then I was just completely overcome by that slow motion scene where she's walking to Taka. Mm-hmm. I was just like, this is gorgeous. Everything about this lands perfectly. Like the animation is perfect. The music notes are perfect. Like it's the composite, like the actual like layout of the quote unquote shot is perfect. I was just like, wow, what a moment.
I'm going to say something that might anger some Moana fans, but this reminds me, I love, and I know a lot of people don't love this, I love the Pixar short Lava, and I get like lava feels at moments in this movie, and that makes me really happy.
I mean, I love Lava. I remember when I first saw Lava, I laughed out loud when I was like, oh my God, we're getting a short about like a volcano. This volcano has a face? Like, nah. And I thought it was I legitimately was like, this is dumb. And then at the end, I'm weeping. I was like, I forget about it. I'm sorry.
I immediately loved Lava. A long, long time ago. The minute they started singing, I was like, I'm in. I am in for this so much. But I get those moments. Of course, there's the human formed mountains and volcanoes and islands and such. I'm like, I don't know. I love those feels. But in any case, we're going on so many tangents here. Let's get some trivia, folks.
Do you know the answer? Get your brain gears churning and play along. It's trivia time.
All right, Tiffany, do you want to hit me with the trivia question first, or shall I hit you?
I can give you one. I think it might be easy. I don't know.
Okay.
But do you know where we see Moana before the Moana movie was released?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I mean, the film before it was Frozen, but I don't think Moana is in Frozen.
No.
So she appeared in something before the movie came out? Well,
in a way, yes. The movie Moana is referenced in another movie that came out before Moana.
Zootopia.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bootleg videos that had a gigantic bootleg as well, right?
God, I think about gigantic constantly. I'm not going to lie. I think about it very often.
40 years from now, it'll be dusted off. Don't worry. It'll be fine. Excellent. Yes, Zootopia. That's funny. I like that. So, of course, the co-directors Ron Clements and John Musker of Moana, they did pitch this film all the way back in 2011, which was, a good while before it came out in 2016. And, but it wasn't exactly the movie that we know. Of course, it never is, but do you know what character their story that they pitched was actually centered around?
Ooh, I don't.
It makes total sense if you think about it. We're kind of talking about it before.
What, was supposed to be about Maui?
Yeah, it was a Maui-based story. That's the story that they pitched to John Lasseter, apparently way back in the day in 2011. So much was different in 2011.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
So yeah, it was a Maui-based story, and like I said, Moana is kind of like a Disney invention as part of this Maui mythology. But I like it. I as much as I have comments about the film that I don't particularly love, I will say I like the character a lot.
Of Maui?
No, of Moana.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say I love Moana. I think Maui is arguably the villain of Moana, if anything.
Yeah. He's interesting. He
full on tries to kill her multiple times.
No, I completely agree. The water saves her over and over and over again, the ocean. But yeah, I don't know. It's I like Moana. I'm glad that they put her in there.
Yeah, I think it's a way better kind of road to go down, especially like you can change, a fairy tale, Disney does that all the time, but I think making a story focused around a demigod that is rooted in actual culture, I think is a very slippery slope to doing it justice.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when Hercules came out and people were so upset that the mythology of Hercules was tinkered around with. So,
yeah.
I just feel like it would be even worse today, so it's crazy. But in any case, Tiffany, thank you so much for coming on the show for Princess Pondering one more time. Until next time when there's another official Disney princess. As of right now, we have closed the chapter officially once again on Princess Pondering with Moana here. So thank you for coming on. And why don't you let folks know where they can find you and follow along with all your fun stuff?
I'm doing all the Disney content all the time on my Twitter @Minkus and on Instagram @TiffMink. And you can occasionally still find me on YouTube, just username Tiffany Mink.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Tiffany. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you all enjoyed the return of Princess Pondering and our discussion about Moana. If you'd like to hear all of the Princess Pondering episodes, just visit DisneyCoastToCoast.com and you can find them all right there. And if you haven't listened yet, be sure to check out last Wednesday's episode all about Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And of course, you can get the latest Disney news and the House of Mouse headlines every Sunday in your Disney Coast to Coast podcast feed. If you haven't subscribed already, be sure to do so. And before we go, I want to give a shout out to Jeanette Mancini, who has made the decision to join the DCTC community and help ensure that new episodes of this show will be around for a long time. In addition to supporting the show, Jeanette has started gaining bonuses over at patreon.com/DisneyCTC. Thanks so much, Jeanette. This show truly wouldn't exist without folks like yourself. If you'd like to become part of the DCTC community, or even just check out the rewards waiting for you, visit patreon.com/DisneyCTC. That's patreon.com/DIZNEYCTC. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePauli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com.